And live from the CBS studios in San Francisco, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. We start in Lake County, where some evacuation orders have been downgraded to warnings after a fire breaks out near Clear Lake. Time-lapse video shows large plumes of smoke billowing from the mountains. This is near Sky High Ridge and Morgan Valley Road in Lower Lake. That's about 7 miles southeast of Clear Lake. CAL FIRE said first, the fire burned about 25 acres, but in the past half hour, that number has been downgraded to about 19. The fire is 50% contained.
And now to the latest on the Pickett Fire. Napa County has declared a local emergency in response to that fire. It has grown by nearly 2,000 acres over the past 24 hours, burning over 6,800 acres in total, according to CAL FIRE. Blaze is now 11% contained, and crews are working to increase that number as they work in pretty tough terrain.
One of the big things that has been a huge help is the aircraft, because the aircraft don't have those considerations of how in the world am I going to get up to that line. They just fly right to it, and they can drop either retardant from our fixed wing aircraft, airplanes, or water from the helicopters.
CAL FIRE says that night flights have been helpful because it's easier to see the flames in the dark, Andrea.
An air quality advisory has been extended through tomorrow because of the smoke from that fire. Let's go right to meteorologist Darren Peck. Darren.
Good news on that, Andrea. Just about every air quality sensor Bay Area-wide is doing okay, with the exception of those that are right in the vicinity of the Picket Fire. And you've got to get all the way up here to that far northern head, Napa Valley, and then working your way over to Pope Valley before you really start to find any issues with this. Look at the visualization for the smoke's going on that. So most of the wind coming into the bay is forcing the smoke to pretty much leave the Bay Area and drift out over the Central Valley, and even there, it's fairly high, and it's not causing much of an issue, but we need to watch that for the next few days. Somewhat closer view with that. Let's get a better handle on exactly what we're talking about when we discuss the Picket Fire. This is Napa Valley. There's the town of Calistoga. Look at the outline of the fire over here. Started in this canyon, it's about 2 days ago, worked its way up over the ridge line here, kind of where the Palisades is. If you know that part of Napa Valley, it's a really prominent landscape up there. Skirted to the north of Oakland and has now worked its way down towards Pope Valley. So the lighter shades on here show you the most recent updates to the footprint. This is wine country out here just as much as Napa Valley is, and you've got a lot of vineyards. Pope Valley Winery is one of them, kind of near the head of that fire. That's where things stand on that now. That's where that smoke would be coming from. I'll see you with the full forecast for us coming up in a few minutes, guys. Back to you.
Several sideshows take over parts of Oakland and Richmond overnight. This comes as Oakland faces pressure from the Trump administration. The president recently said that he would deploy National Guard troops to cities that he claims are considered unsafe. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee and the police department says that crime there has been falling in recent months. Police data through the first half of the year shows violent crime fell 29% compared to the first 6 months of 2024. Still, neighbors criticize police response and vow to take matters into their own hands after last night's sideshows in Oakland and Richmond produced little in the way of law enforcement response. Don Lynn's got that story.
Donuts, M80 explosions, even a car fire. Sideshows have become a regular problem in the Bay Area, but that doesn't make it any easier for the people who live through it.
If I had a gun, I would have started shooting. Really?
Would have been dangerous.
Where were the police? Where were the police?
Glenn Collins was livid after the loud spinouts woke him up 3 in the morning, and even more frustrated by what he calls a slow police response.
Irresponsible youth, lack of police enforcement. If there's no police, nothing's happening. These people are having fun.
Glenn and his neighbors say a huge crowd took over the 41st and Howell intersection for about 40 minutes. They say this Infiniti, likely stolen, finally broke down from all the spinning. Then a mob jumped on it and set it on fire. Neighbors say police didn't move in until after the car was torched to break up the crowd of rowdy drivers and spectators.
Because they could get something else on fire, you know what I mean? Like these old buildings around here, that's kind of scary. That seems like extra. I don't think they need to be doing all that.
One neighbor tried to put out the flames with a fire extinguisher, but was told to back off for his own safety. Police say this was one of at least 4 sideshow locations in Richmond and Oakland on Sunday morning.
The wheels screeching and people yelling and screaming, and it's just it's insane. Just complete insanity.
Some neighbors say as long as no one gets hurt, they're cool with it. Live and let live.
I'm kind of waiting for it. I don't mind.
It was fun to watch.
Fun to watch. No problems with it.
It was fun to watch.
It's loud. It was 1 hour. It's a Saturday night. It's not that big of a deal in Oakland.
But some previous sideshows have ended in gunfire and even homicides. We're not aware of any injuries from Sunday morning. Still, people want to know why police didn't break it up sooner. The Oakland Police Officers Association says they simply don't have enough officers to move in safely. The union says there were 16 police cars at the scene, but about 500 participants and spectators. They released a statement saying, "Police are doing everything in our power to help residents. We ask neighbors to demand City Council and Mayor hire more officers and retain the ones we have now."
Poor excuse. Poor excuse. Get in there and do something.
OPD doesn't really respond to things, and they like to get a lot of overtime pay, so they usually draw things out and don't react to things.
Some neighbors posted a petition at the intersection urging the city to put in a traffic circle.
These are things that cost less than thousands of dollars and are effective at completely preventing sideshows from happening.
Glenn says he doesn't see a solution other than moving out.
I think the solution is to move out of the neighborhood. Really. This is going to happen. This is unresponsive Oakland police.
We're not aware of any arrests in the Oakland and Richmond sideshows. Now, in the past, when officers had enough video evidence, they would later track down the cars and tow them, but we're not sure if that's going to happen this time.
Also in Oakland, a business owner confronts 3 men illegally dumping trash on a busy street in broad daylight.
You guys can't illegal dump. Hell no.
This cell phone video is going viral on TikTok, nearing 400,000 views as of this afternoon. The illegal dumping happened on Friday afternoon near the corner of Howard Street and Alameda Avenue. This is across from the Home Depot and right in front of the High Street car wash and oil change. The business owner there, Kevin Kim, recorded the video and confronted the 3 men who tossed a pile of household trash onto the street. Kim tells us a lot of drivers honked and shouted at the men to stop, but they ignored the passing motorists. That's when he decided to start recording video. The men eventually got back into the U-Haul truck and drove off.
This is my city. I live here. This is my business. Okay, I don't go to your house. It doesn't matter. You think it's okay to dump stuff? I don't go to your place, your house, and dump myself. You guys are making the problem even worse. Shame on you guys. If you guys live in Oakland, you guys should be ashamed of yourself.
Kim suspects the men went to a nearby street to finish the dumping of rest of the items. He sent the video to the city and filed a report with 311 to have the trash picked up. But guess what? As of Sunday, he says the pile of household items is still sitting on the street.
And still ahead here at 6, Bay Area Ukrainians celebrating Independence Day. This year's festival is taking on a new meaning as the war with Russia continues. We'll be right back.
That's a pretty good view of the marine layer hanging out over the Golden Gate Bridge. Here it is on the virtual map. You can see there's a blanket of gray out here. And behind me, there is a lot of lightning in the Sierra once again today. These two things are typical for this time of year. Basically, we are returning now to just kind of regular, average, mid to late August programming after the brief spike in heat that we had for the end of this last week. And even yesterday, we still had heat advisories on Saturday for parts of the Bay. That's done, and now we're just going to watch like an absolutely normal week. Those thunderstorms in the Sierra, that should be going on. That's the summer monsoon, finally showed up over there. And when we look at the marine layer here, well, this is just going to ebb and flow now for the next couple of days. Look at the forecast for Monday morning. We're going to wake up on Monday. It'll be a lot like today, in fact, where we're going to have widespread gray for just about everybody in the morning, and then it'll take its sweet time to melt back. And I think tomorrow it may not even clear the city entirely. Not as much as it did today, and today you still had patches of it. But when we get to 2 o'clock tomorrow, we've still got this little ribbon out here hanging out over the city and trying to stream in across the bay and get over towards the East Bay. This tells us that the marine layer is pretty healthy right now. And it's going to be a dominating factor for our forecast. And that means we're pretty much going to be doing average things. That's good, because you don't want to be getting any warmer than average this time of year. But even at that, if you are average, go ahead and pick out your part of the bay. That means you are back into the mid and upper 80s for our warmest inland East Bay community. San Jose, you're going to 80. We'll be sitting at 79 at Fremont. North Bay numbers have Santa Rosa going to 80. Petaluma will top out at 80, and there's Novato hitting 93 for the daytime high. That's going to pretty much then repeat itself for much of the rest of this 7-day forecast. So let's start out by taking a look at our warmer inland microclimate first. And there might even be a little bit of a bump in temperatures as we get towards next weekend. So here's the next couple of days, no change. Marine layer mornings, sunshine in the afternoon, and then there is a sign of perhaps a little bit of a warm-up by the time we get towards next weekend, low to mid-90s. Not as bad as we just were, but it's going to be warmer than most of the week will be. So just a slight nudge upward for the weekend. It's going to be about 5 to 7 degrees above average by the time we get to next week. And that's where things stand now. If you're working on those weekend plans, looking ahead towards next weekend, stay on top of the forecast with us. We'll be able to refine that as we get closer to it. Doesn't look like crazy heat, but it will certainly be a somewhat more noticeably warmer weekend than the week you're about to have. That's where the forecast stands for now. Andrea, over to you.
All right, thank you, Darren. An art installation at Burning Man was destroyed by powerful winds. The day before the festival begins, the 100-foot inflatable sculpture was created by a Ukrainian artist and depicted a giant black cloud complete with light, sound, and olfactory effects. The producer says that some of the installation was salvageable.
We saved some expensive equipment, not all of it, but some. The inflatable part cannot be restored, but we can make a new one.
The group behind the black cloud says that it symbolizes the dangers of expanding war if the U.S. and other countries don't step up.
Well, local Ukrainians gathered in San Francisco to celebrate their Independence Day. It has been 34 years since the country broke away from the Soviet Union. But as the war with Russia continues, this year's festival took on a new meaning. John Ramos has the story.
For most countries, celebrating an Independence Day is about commemorating a time, usually in the distant past, when they gained their self-determination. But for Ukrainians, it is a struggle that has gone on for generations and is still continuing to this very day. Modern-day Ukrainians mark August 24th as Independence Day. That's the date in 1991 when the country overwhelmingly voted to separate from the crumbling Soviet Union and become a free and democratic nation. But this year it comes when the country is once again fighting for its life. Melanie McCutcheon is a member of the Ukrainian National Women's League.
Ukraine has been struggling for freedom for centuries. And this is just this last very serious Russian invasion that started in 2014 really, but the full-scale invasion started in 2022 is really the just another example of Russia trying to really colonize Ukraine and destroy Ukraine as a free, independent, sovereign people.
9-year-old Daria Turi sang an Independence Day song about her ancestral homeland that she has only visited once as a baby.
Well, I mean, older kids might think what is going on? But for me, it's happy. You know how the war in Ukraine right now, it's really sad. So people are singing and doing stuff so war to end.
It is the older people, some who emigrated here in the 1940s to escape Stalin's oppression, that see this latest invasion as an ongoing fight for survival.
6 years in the United States, and I'm grateful for every day here to God.
Father Roman Babasuk read a prayer expressing thanks for the refuge that America has been for so many Ukrainians.
And we are grateful to God and grateful to all people of the United States of America for support, for help. It's very important to be united and to know that someone is with you, because only in unity, only with God, only in prayer, we can overcome this evil.
That's ironic because at the infamous Oval Office meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky, Vice President J.D. Vance accused the Ukrainian leader of not showing any gratitude.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Here in the Bay Area, Ukrainian protests, or gatherings of any kind, are full of thanks to the United States. Even playing the American national anthem at the concert. The Ukrainians know that their fate may rest with the ability to get arms from the United States, and the current feeling is hope mixed with concern that their security should not be contingent on giving away part of their homeland to get it.
It's not a choice between peace and appeasement, because appeasement will not lead to peace. The only thing that will lead to peace is strength, and that's making sure that Ukraine has the arms it needs to defend itself and the security guarantees from European allies and the United States to deter Russian aggression.
President Trump has said repeatedly that he seeks an agreement to stop the bloodshed. The Ukrainians are relying on that, but they want him to also know that in the end, this is not a real estate deal.
Over the weekend, President Trump expressed his support for Ukraine and an end to the war. In fact, he sent a letter praising the country's courage and said that he believes in its future as an independent nation. And welcome back. Texas Republicans have now passed legislation to redraw the state's congressional map, an advantage that could net the GOP 5 seats in next year's midterm elections. As you know, here in California, Democrats, led by Governor Gavin Newsom, are planning the same thing, except they want to gain Democratic seats. Christian Benavides has the latest.
House Bill 4 is finally passed.
The Texas legislature has given final approval to new congressional maps designed to give Republicans an additional 5 seats in the House of Representatives for the 2026 midterms. Republican Governor Greg Abbott plans to sign the legislation as soon as it reaches his desk.
There were voters that were trapped in Democrat congressional districts who voted for Republicans for president and other offices. So we had the legal authority to be able to draw the new maps to empower voters to have the candidate of their choice.
President Trump celebrated the vote, calling it a huge victory for our America First agenda. But Democrats in Texas plan to challenge the legality of the new map, saying it dilutes the voting power of minorities.
Tell us whether or not there was any analysis by the top-notch lawyers as it relates to discriminatory effects of this particular map.
And I have confidence in that analysis, is that this map complies with all applicable law.
And in California, Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is now pushing a plan to redraw its own map to favor Democrats.
They took an action in Texas and we're responding to it.
A new poll shows 48% of Californians backing Governor Newsom's plan to redraw maps. 32% oppose it, with 20% undecided.
And the measure to change California's congressional districts, Proposition 50, will go before voters on November 4th. It needs at least 50% support in order to become law. If it passes, control of redistricting would revert back to an independent commission after elections in 2030. Andrea?
Well, a push for California to leave the U.S. could soon be in voters' hands. CalExit has officially refiled the proposed ballot initiative. The proposal asks voters, should California leave the United States and become a free and independent country? If it is passed, an official commission would look into California's viability as an independent nation. Last month, CalExit pulled this ballot initiative over fears it wouldn't get enough signatures. The organization's leader said that by refiling, they have more time to gather support.
We are going to refile the ballot initiative so that we can start the clock back for 5.5 months. We felt that we had the requisite number of signatures, but we did not have the insulation amount. So you want to get about 550,000 signatures, but most people will tell you you need an additional 100 to 300,000 because a lot of those signatures will be invalidated.
Now the proposal is waiting for approval from the Attorney General's office. If it gets the green light, it can start gathering signatures.
Well, in other news, Ma Bell is doing everything it can to dump its traditional landline service, despite the fact that many think it's a lifeline in any kind of emergency. Instead, AT&T is installing fiber optic networks they say will bridge the gap between copper and light. But not so fast, says one Berkeley woman. When she picks up her phone, she wants dial tone. Suji Nam's got that story.
It's something as simple as making a phone call.
Oh, it's great to hear from you.
But to Cynthia Larson, it's so much more.
This landline phone is my lifeline. I absolutely need it. This is the way that I would get notification, whether it's time to evacuate or if it's just high winds.
Larson does not have a cell phone.
Sometimes they do those PIPs shut off for the utilities to be fire safe in high wind situations. I rely upon my landline to find out what's going on outside of my area.
She said having a beeper at her IT job years ago put her off from ever buying a cell phone.
There's no way I wanted to be on call to anyone or answering anything that rings.
But now her lifeline, the AT&T Copper Services landline, is in jeopardy. Legislation moving forward in Sacramento would enable AT&T to phase out this legacy network. State Assembly member Tina McKinner authored the Carriers of Last Resort bill.
The next 10, 15 years, copper will be obsolete. No one will have a home phone anymore.
She ensures that residents will have other phone service options available before the switch to fiber optics.
They have to have 3 other services, 2 wireless and 1 hardline service, which is a VoIP. If they don't have that, if you don't have that in your area, they can't pull out, and you'll just keep your copper lines.
Utility watchdog groups say the bill would impact about 1.5 million Californians who rely on copper services, especially when service is down.
I can call 911, and also that I can get that alert from 911, because if you're in a place where the power is out and there's a wildfire and people are not getting the information because the networks are down, that house might be the only one getting those alerts.
Larson is concerned, however, about the reliability of these new services in areas that have spotty connection.
Sometimes my family or friends, they need to go outside on the porch to use the phone.
She hopes that AT&T will answer their call to continue offering copper services to longtime customers like her.
Do we really have something that's equal or better than copper landlines in these emergency situations?
Larson says she has no choice but to wait and see what will happen next.
The Public Utilities Commission rejected a similar proposal last year, and this year the bill is headed to the Senate Appropriations Committee at the end of this month. AT&T released a statement saying no customer will be left without access to voice or 911 service. We are committed to working with state leaders and community members on policies that create a thoughtful transition to bring more reliable, modern communications to all Californians. Well, still ahead here at 6, helping families save money while saving the environment at the same time. How one family-owned business is helping people replenish everything from soap to lotion. Be right back.
And welcome back to mixed reports on recycling. Good news is we recycle maybe 40 million tons of plastic every year. Bad news, 10 times as much is produced.
Well, now a growing trend in the Bay Area promises to help keep it all out of the landfills. Juliette Goodrich shows us how this works in tonight's Project Earth.
In the San Francisco Bay Area, on the island of Alameda, right on Webster Street, step inside and check out this small store with a big vision.
This is absolutely fantastic.
Here, you'll find a way to save money and support a family-owned business. It's also where the locals know how to fill her up and reduce the use of fossil fuels at the same time.
I'm here because I don't like plastic.
Welcome to Replenish Marketplace, one of the Bay Area's newest refill shops.
I saw there's one in Alameda, so here we are. We're checking it out.
I'm looking for detergent.
Some hand soap today.
Oh, I like lavender. Yeah, let's do lavender.
Refill shops allow customers to reuse their old containers to buy everyday essentials. At Replenish, if you forget, no sweat.
You can get a
jar or container from their local jar supply. Yeah, these are containers donated by the community.
It is a dream come true for me.
Laria Pippin is the founder and owner of Replenish. She's also a pediatric nurse concerned about plastic waste.
There's a lot out there about microplastics and the harms to our body. That said, we want to be hopeful.
Personally, I don't think it's something we can ever get rid of, but we can definitely mitigate its imprint in the world.
Stephen is her husband.
We're here to work with people. That's what it all comes down to.
This is just convenient, and you're cutting the waste out, so.
I already had it, might as well use it if I have it. It's better that I use it again than that it goes to a landfill.
It's widely reported how less than 10% of plastic is recycled globally.
As recyclers, we're trying very hard to recycle more plastics to get that percentage higher, but we can't do it on our own.
We're always encouraging people to reduce how much they produce and how much they use.
Logan Harvey and Robert Reed are both with Recology. The company's state-of-the-art facility in Santa Rosa processes more than 16,000 tons of plastic every year. They applaud the growing popularity of refill stores.
It's great. They're really cool idea, very kind of a back to basics.
At Recology, we absolutely love the refill stores.
As do their customers.
There's something really special about being able to replenish items that you're regularly buying without having to purchase a new container.
Sometimes people just feel so overwhelmed by the plastic crisis and the climate crisis that they're just not sure where to start. And so we just want to welcome people with open arms and say, hey, we're here to help. And here's some ideas for you.
We make a difference, but it's also our customers that are helping make the difference.
And that's filling up the world with hope.
To see more project or stories just like this one, just head over to our website, kpix.com.
And still ahead, torn apart by wind and waves, there may soon be no way to get to one of the Bay Area's most famous landmarks. The story of the East Brother Light Station still ahead, and so's Darren.
Going to be foggy enough out there over the next couple of days. We're going to want that lighthouse and all the rest of them. Look what's coming in tomorrow morning. This is going to be foggiest again. We woke up to gray skies on Sunday morning, but you might have slept through that. It was Sunday. Your Monday morning is going to be gray. And this does have an impact on temperatures. We're not talking about heat advisories. Not in this 7-day forecast anyway. I'll show you where the numbers will land for most of the week coming up.
And hello again. Recycled art is cleaning up nicely in the fine art world, and in San Francisco, it's hitting the big time.
Itai Han takes us inside one of the city's top galleries where curbside cast-offs are now taking center stage.
To most people, this is just a dump. But to Dina Cabazard, it's a full-service art supply store with a very flexible return policy.
Sometimes you'll look and you're like, no, and then sometimes the unexpected car comes and you're like, oh my goodness, fantastic.
A Kuwaiti-American artist, Cabazard has been mining the muck for years, looking to give old objects new spark.
Is there anything here that's catching your eye?
I love scrap metal.
Today, she scores a bracelet, a mirror, and a string of chandelier crystals, all ready for their second act. Back in her studio, those finds turn into collages of metals, textiles, and photographs, much of it pulled straight from the dump.
So now I'm kind of just playing around compositionally what it looks like.
As climate concerns take center stage, repurposed art is getting more wall space and less side-eye from the art world.
2, 3.
Exhibit A, the latest show from the city's garbage collector, Recology, which for 35 years has run an artist-in-residence program, now on display at Minnesota's Street Project, one of San Francisco's most renowned galleries.
It seems like we're seeing more trash in the art world these days.
That's a funny way of putting it.
Deborah Monk runs the program. She says 99% of the materials are what is referred to as upcycled.
Artists have been using trash for a long time, but maybe for different reasons because they couldn't afford it. And I think now, with all the environmental issues that we're dealing with, it is becoming more apparent.
From a self-portrait made with discarded mirrors and the artist's own hair, to installations built from pool floats left high and dry, and even one of Cabazard's earlier pieces, a weathered photograph surrounded by scraps meant to reframe how we see beauty.
It's really important, even for the younger generation, to see like how we can reuse things and transform them, how they can, expand our imagination.
Proving that sometimes in art, the only thing worth discarding is convention.
The exhibit runs through August 30th at Minnesota Street Project. Darren?
All right, Andrea, taking a look at the live updating radar today. There's a lot of lightning and thunderstorms showing up across the Sierra. For the most part, this is good. It's rain up there, but we did have a small fire start up there yesterday afternoon in the Central Sierra. It's the Garnet Fire. We'll probably get some rain on that. But this is the time of year to keep an eye on that. For the most part, we're doing okay. There's no fire weather concerns there. If you match that with what's going on here at home, take a look at what shows up through Sonoma County, and you can see where the Picket Fire still is today. And we'll track the details on that coming up in a second. I'll show you the footprint of that fire in detail. But the big picture overview of where the smoke's going is probably most helpful at this point. So as we take a look at the bay as a whole, the overall flow in the atmosphere wants to take that smoke and push it away from us. There are some localized areas up there that do have some concerns from an air quality standpoint, but you've got to be right near the leading edge and in some of those interior valleys there to really be impacted. So if you can smell smoke, you're breathing in more particulate matter than you want to. By the way, here's another overview on that fire, getting down on the ground in some detail. Here's Napa Valley. That's the town of Calistoga right there. You can see where the footprint of the fire is. It started in these canyons and then worked its way up over the ridge over the last day and a half and has crested that ridge now and is now working downhill towards the other valley. That's Pope Valley out there. Pope Valley Winery, among many other wineries out here. It's likely what happens to the fire now is it remains in the terrain. But what I mean by that, it's going to remain in these canyons likely and in the hills. And we'll have to track this closely over the next few days on its progress, but I think it's likely run the majority of the distance it's going to run. There are no major wind events to push that into communities at this point. So there's good news on that front. Let's come back home to the forecast. So this is what the marine layer is doing now. It's going to overtake pretty much the entire bay tomorrow morning. So you'll wake up on Monday morning and it'll be widespread gray for just about everybody. And then it'll melt back by the time we get to 2 o'clock, but not completely. Takes its sweet time. And look where it finishes here. By like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the marine layer has pretty much been pushed back as far as it's going to go. And by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it is still coming through the Golden Gate here, streaming in across the central part of the bay, never really melting away entirely. So it'll probably be a gray day tomorrow in the west half of the city with some dramatic, artistic-looking fog hanging out over the Golden Gate pretty much throughout the entire day. Temperatures are going to be great tomorrow. We take a look at where we'll be from a daytime high standpoint. They're exactly where they were today. And that means we're totally out of heat advisory territory, and we're back to average. Daytime highs for the inland East Bay valleys are going to be in the mid and upper 80s. And you'll be 80 in Santa Rosa. You'll be 80 in San Jose. That's great. These numbers are exactly where you would expect them to be for this time of year. Let's get into the 7-day forecast. We'll start out by taking a look at our warmest microclimate. The inland 7-day, which is going to show you the trend, does bring slightly warmer numbers back, but not till next weekend. By the time we get towards next Saturday and Sunday, you might have to start creeping back up into the low and mid 90s. But for the most part, for the rest of this week, you'll be staying either at or below average. That's got to look pretty nice. And when we look at the 7-day forecast for our inland or I should say for the bay, those temperatures are going to follow a similar trend. Most of the week's going to be average. Morning fog, afternoon sun, and then you'll see temperatures will warm up by the time we get towards next week. And that's where the forecast stands for now.
All righty, thanks, Darren. Coming up next, could be lights out for one of the most famous lighthouses on the West Coast. And this one sits right on the edge of San Francisco Bay. We'll have that story when we come back.
Well, if you ever dreamed of being paid to live on an island in San Francisco Bay, it's a possibility, right, Brian?
Yeah, but first you might want to think of the long hours, the historic setting, and the fact that the East Brother Light Station is now in a fight for its life. Watch.
Meet Danielle Levine and Ray Colvin.
We run in out of a Victorian mansion that's a lighthouse on a tiny rock in the middle of the bay.
That tiny rock is East Brother Island, just off the entrance to San Pablo Bay, home to the oldest wooden lighthouse still operating on the West Coast, where you'll find one of the most unusual bed and breakfasts in North America, and a problem that threatens to shut the whole thing down for good.
How do we get out there?
In that little aluminum boat.
This is Point San Pablo Harbor.
A rare calm day. We're gonna get pretty fast here and it's gonna get really loud.
How long is it going to take to get out there?
About 10 minutes.
It does take a little bit of an effort to get out here, but since 1980, 70,000 people have stayed here, including two of my very good friends. Hey, you guys.
Hey, Brian, get up here.
Ahoy! Okay, I'm coming!
Finally!
Look
There
who's
you
here.
are.
Liam Maklem and Tweenzoo, my old co-hosts. That was 14 years ago when we said goodbye to Eye in the Bay.
And hello again to East Brother Light Station and the Inn, a registered historic landmark that the Coast Guard was once ready to demolish until Tom Butt stepped in.
So, Tom, how long have you been involved with the lighthouse?
I've been involved 46 years, over half my life.
Wow. You must like it.
I don't know what else to do.
Tom's an architect and a lover of the light station since 1979.
Back then I was young, and I wasn't near as smart as I am now. And they showed me this dilapidated island, and I said, you know, we can do this.
His nonprofit restored the lighthouse into an operating B&B.
How many rooms are there out here?
There's 5 rooms.
How much does it cost to stay here?
$5.25 a night.
Can we go take a look?
Absolutely.
Ray and Danielle are the innkeepers.
Here we're coming into the parlor.
And since the main house dates to 1873.
No television, no phone line, no internet.
And every room is named after what you can see outside the window. In this case, West Brother, which the birds and the seals love to hang out on. This is the Marin room. And this is the San Francisco room. And those are century plants, and they bloom approximately every 60 years.
And up these stairs?
So this is still a functioning lighthouse?
Yes, we are still an active aid to navigation. This is a new LED. It's actually brand new. The Coast Guard just replaced this light about 5 weeks ago. The actual light is what the Coast Guard cares about.
Everything else on this island, unfortunately, falls to us.
That includes bringing in all the supplies for about 40 guests a week, cooking 4-course meals nightly.
The dining room.
There's still a lot of dishes.
And the burned out light bulbs, you have to change those too?
Yep. Every single day is at least a 14-hour workday.
What about your social life?
No.
But while the setting is idyllic in other ways, there is trouble in paradise.
There's a crisis every week. And so we've been through a lot of crises. Yeah. But the current one is probably the biggest one we've ever had.
The problem, the pier and its crumbling deckwork, and the gangway leading to the island.
You know, it's out there in the salt air, and it's continued to deteriorate. And if we don't have access to the island, we can't run our bed and breakfast operation. It's the bed and breakfast operation that supports the ongoing maintenance.
Tom hopes to keep it all going if they can raise $750,000 for the repairs.
Engine was built in 1922.
Why is this so important to you, Tom?
Well, I've been working on it for 45 years, and I just can't give it up.
Meanwhile, Ray and Danielle keep things running.
This one is purely a museum piece that I fire up for guests. This is my favorite part of the tour, is firing these old engines up.
And despite the fact their job is nonstop,
And that is one of the loudest things on the island.
there is an upside.
We get to live here.
At least they will, as long as the bottom doesn't fall out after 150 years on this island.
A lot of people don't know that that's right there in the bay.
Yeah, where is it exactly?
If you're crossing the Richmond Bridge, going toward Richmond, it's right off the left side of the bridge.
Oh,
so it's sitting right over there.
Yeah,
it's right off the point.
I've done that a million times.
And
I've
Never
seen
noticed
it.
it. It's because you're driving over the bridge.
Yeah,
and
I'm
it's
being
not
safe.
like right there. It's got to look in the distance.
So I'm doing some of the math on that. It's 500 something a night. Even if you booked it, there's just not enough revenue there to cover.
fix the pier and the gangway. That's why they're having the fundraiser.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, good question. Thanks for watching. 60 Minutes is next, and see you back here at 11.